Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Peter Mancroft Church here in Norwich. If you are just looking around the building, please feel free to carry on and admire this wonderful church building. But we are just about to start the fifth and final instalment of our Lent study course for 2024, where we've been exploring the theme of sanctuary. For those that don't know me, my name is Ian Fifield. I'm curate at St Stephen's Church, just across the road. And it's my pleasure to be delivering this talk and leading the study session. And it's entitled today, A Place of Hope. Let me start by asking you a question. What are you hoping for? I've recently found out that my daughter and son-in-law are expecting their first baby in the summer, making me a grandfather for the first time. This is a rather daunting prospect, and clearly I'm far too young to be a grandfather. But certainly I am looking forward to meeting my new grandchild for the first time in the summer, and I'm certainly hoping and praying that all will be well for both mum and child. Hope is, of course, intrinsically linked to the uncertainty of the future. We hope for the best when we don't know, and possibly where we cannot control the outcome. I'm guessing that those in medieval times who feared for their lives and sought sanctuary in churches were not particularly focused on the future. Rather, they would have just been pleased to have some shelter and respite from their circumstances. However, at the very least, they now had the next 40 days to try to arrange a fair trial. Without this, of course, there was very little hope at all. Little by little, the strangers who came to Norwich in the 1560s discovered that Norwich was indeed a place of hope as they began to live and work and integrate into the local population. Similarly, those in our time who have been forced to leave their homes, uproot their families as they flee from war and persecution, are probably initially focused very much on the here and now as they seek a place of refuge. However, this instinct is indeed rooted in the hope for a better, safer future. So just as it was nearly 500 years ago, we are now seeing people who initially just hoped to feel safe and secure start to settle into a new home. And as they slowly but surely rebuild their lives, they find new confidence as they begin to look to the future with new found hope. We shall in a while focus our study session on Psalm 91. Of course, this psalm has become familiar to a wider audience as we all struggle to come to terms with the deadly pestilence of COVID-19 that stalked our city a few years ago. It speaks to some of the most basic fears that every human being must grapple with. Whilst the exact nature and form of the fowler's snare and the terrors of the night may have changed over the years and are probably different for each one of us, we live in a world where we need to recognise that bad things can happen to anyone, and sometimes they happen to us. As we face this reality of life, it's easy to become cynical when reading this psalm. If bad things do happen to good people, where's all the protection? What is the psalmist saying here? But Psalm 91 is not primarily describing the state and challenges of our times. No, it is a psalm of hope. Whilst the threats all around us are very real, this psalm delivers an important counter message with a reminder to focus on the hope of the gospel. We believe in a God who is a deliverer, a refuge, and a fortress. God will care for us like the mother hen sheltering her chicks under her wings. God will answer our cries of anguish and help. He will save us. Yet the assurances in this psalm can also be misunderstood in a different way. Interestingly, Satan himself employed this psalm as he tempted Jesus in the wilderness. Jesus, throw yourself off this high building. Psalm 91 says you're going to be fine. But this psalm is not saying that bad things don't happen to Christians. Ask any Christian asylum seeker, and they'll certainly put you right on this. Rather, it's a poem that looks further forward past the bad things. It's a recall to reject the cynicism of our age that tells us that no one cares, that there is no place of shelter, that there is no hope. Yes, bad things might happen, but this is not because God is bad. It's not because he's indifferent to suffering. God wants the best for us and wants his followers to live in a life and manner that demonstrates his desire for justice and mercy. This message is clear in the Easter story as Jesus endures the hardships and torture of the cross, dying an appalling death. But this is not the end. Even here there is hope as he rises to new life 3 days later. The good news of Jesus' resurrection provides sure and certain hope to anyone who believes and follows Jesus' call to follow him, to live a life of mercy, to those who are hungry to bring about God's righteousness and justice. And as we start to do this, we discover the God of love who is with us through the bad times, who will never leave us. Just as the hope of sanctuary enables lives to be rebuilt with fresh possibilities, the hope of the good news of Jesus enables us to live in the knowledge that despite the difficulties of our circumstances, all will be well. Amen.
Thank you, Ian, very much indeed. And we're going to move downstairs now in our customary way to the Octagon for our meeting, final meeting of the Lent Study Group. The steps I hope you're familiar with. Outside is another option, but it's tricky on Hay Hill, so you might find those, the path and the few steps at the bottom there will work. See you in a moment.